right.
There's a consent button that I have to click. Done.
I guess it's working now. All right. Well, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good, good. How about yourself?
Fantastic morning. Can you please introduce yourself real quick? First, I'm Diego Garcia. I am going to be interviewing today. You can call me Diego, you can call me Dave, you can call me whatever you want. But one, I want to know who you guys are.
Big.
So,
Rhonda Hayes.
and I am Byron Hayes.
So today we're going to be doing live testimonials on relationships, how they work, how to handle them, how to declutter your relationship. I know you wrote a book, Mr. Hayes, about how to declutter your relationship. It's a wonderful book. I love it. And I wanted to know if you can just tell me y'all's experience and also, how long you guys been married, where'd you guys meet, simple stuff. Tell me about your story and your relationship and how you've handled things in the past.
Yeah. So, met in 2010 during March Madness in Austin, Texas. We married in 2014. We've been married 11 years. We've had an adventurous relationship, marriage, all the above. We travel a lot. In fact, we wheels up again in the morning going to New England. So we do a lot of fun stuff together. And like any relationship, we have our ups and downs, disagreements, but not a lot, so we don't argue and fight much, thank goodness. But we do pretty good for ourselves, but we learned along the way that some of our experiences can help others, which they have, and that's kind of what led me to write the book.
So what about you, Miss Hayes?
Same thing, we met in March of 2010, dated a few years, and then I did tell him I would never.
Oh, that changed.
Yeah. No, you see that I changed my mind. It's like when I felt like our first date, it was different for me because I hadn't really dated in like 12 years. So it was, I don't know, there was a connection. There was something there.
Well, no, that reminds me of me and my wife because we didn't actually get married. We knew each other for a while, but we didn't actually get married till 2021. And she thought she would never get married again. She had a previous marriage, and she's like, "I'm never gonna marry again. I'm not gonna worry about relationships." Until I messaged her one day, and then that went out the window, and then here we are now, 4 years later, two kids, living a beautiful life together. So that's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
That's great.
Do you guys kind of like share y'all same values and beliefs? Does everything when you guys came together, was it kind of easy to go into y'all's values and beliefs, or anything like that?
I would say
I
so.
think so.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know, we had a good kinship, and just, I think we're good-hearted people. We both have giving natures, so that helped a lot as far as our belief system, which was already established since we left so late in life in our 40s. And it's been my experience in talking to people and whatnot. The older you are, or the later you meet in life, the more set you are in your ways, and it's difficult
To
to
change.
change, right? So there wasn't a lot of that needed. And we were just kind of caring, supporting one another. Yeah, and here we are.
Do you guys have any kids? I know we talked previously in the past about
Yeah.
kids.
Not together. We're a blended family.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So together, how many grandchildren? 9 children and 13 grandchildren.
9 children and 13 grandchildren. Your Christmases and birthdays must be insane.
Birthday every month,
Yeah,
seems like.
every week.
Yeah.
Wow. Any January babies in there?
No,
January baby, huh?
Darn it. All right.
We have February, March, April, May, no June.
January is a pretty peaceful month. Not a lot going on. Yeah.
September, October, November, and December. Yeah. So almost
Pretty
every
much
month.
almost the whole year you got birthdays. Wow, that's intense.
Yeah.
Oh man, they must love you for everything. Awesome. How about you? What is one thing you guys like to do? Well, so if someone was to talk to you, randomly out of nowhere, be like, "Hey, can you describe your wife in like 3 words?" And can you elaborate on what those little words are? It could be like, "Oh, she's funny because she makes a funny joke every so often and knows how to make me crack, stuff like that.
At first, I thought you said life, but you said wife. So let's see, 3 words to describe this lady here. Hardworking, extremely hardworking, just constant go, 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 just, has a lot of energy and hardworking. I go with that. Definitely dedicated to her friends, her family, her loved ones, extremely maternal. And she's everyone, she can be counted on always, very dependable. And no matter the situation, she has a calmness about her that I think always brings us back together, whether it's her and I, friends, other family members, there's always a calmness where everybody else might be a little erratic and going crazy about stuff. She's the guiding light and the settling force. And so,
Wow, that is really beautiful. That was beautifully said. What about you, Miss Hayes?
Hmm.
How would you describe Mr. Hayes, Miss Hayes?
How would I describe Mr. Hayes? He is a very loving person. You don't like for me to say that, but he really is.
Yeah.
He tries to be hard. He's got a good heart. He's very giving.
Like a
Very
big teddy bear almost.
he is. He is. But he's also very, what's the word? Rational. Like,
Like he's
is that
like more logical comes to things.
yeah, is that the right word? Rationalize that, like
Yeah.
I say, hey, yeah, we need he's like, but babe,
Oh, he focused on certain things. He
yeah,
sees the realistic of it, or realization of the situation.
yes, yes. And now he is the very hard worker. This man's brain never stops.
yeah, we
Never
got to
stops.
fix that though.
It
I
never
need to sleep.
like it's just a constant, sometimes I'll say, babe, shut it down,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
that's reasonable.
But that's why, he and us, that's where we are today is because of how hard he works and he's not afraid to try adventure out and try different things. Like with this book.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that
That's
was
crazy.
yeah, like I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, Mr. Hayes, tell me a little bit more about this book and like, what inspired you to write this book, and also like, what made you come out of nowhere and be like, you know what, I want to write a book about relationships and how to fix them, and tell me your whole experience through that.
Yeah. So, David, man, for many years, I've just seemed to have been that guy for whatever reason. Friends and family, mainly the men's side, sometimes the ladies, but
Yeah.
mostly the men would come to me with situations, issues, concerns, problems, situation that they're dealing with in their relationships. And we sit down and talk, and I give them my advice or whatever I think from my experience. And we would really dig deep. And one of the questions, especially the guys, I would always ask is because they're giving me their point of view, I would always ask, okay, I got that. Everything you're saying makes sense, but what would she say? What would be her version? Would it be different? Or would she say the same thing? And I can tell you 9 times out of 10, it'd be different. Well, at least they're honest about it. And what was the catalyst is that we have a friends group we call the Travel Tribe, 4 couples, so 8 of us.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we
wow.
actually slumber night earlier this year at one of our friends' house. And my very good friend who had the most challenges over the years, the recent years that he probably weighed my ear down the most.
Yeah.
He was there and talking with his girlfriend at the time, and he said, let me ask you guys something. So he brought up the situation they were having, and it centered around spending quality time to them two. And she has grandkids that she's super close to, similar to my wife here. Him and I, we also have grandkids, but we're not as paternal as they are maternal. So the time she was spending with the grandkids, from his perspective, was interfering with their time together. So, part of my advice was just kind of set time together, maybe a Sunday or whatever, to cook together, etc., things like that. Um, and we got deeper into it and everything. And after that, I'm like, man, I keep end up in these situations. So maybe I,
He's the go-to guy.
like, maybe this is
I
my,
understand that. Yeah, I understand that. Being the go-to guy for a lot of things.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really what it
With
was.
family, friends.
I need to share, some of these experiences, and,
Yeah.
and just kind of put things in writing. And I believe in more of the scientific approach, not the cliche happy wife, happy life kind of thing,
Yeah.
but it's more, there's more science behind relationships than most people think. I
Yeah.
always say love is automatic. That's the one thing you don't have to work at. Right. It's there or it's not there. There's
Oh, yeah.
no thing you can do to help you love someone or feel love, right? You can work on communication, you can work on connection, you can work on spending time together. There's so many other respect and all that stuff. You can work on those things. Can't work
Mm.
on love. It's automatic. So anyway, that's a long drawn out answer how it all got started and how I wrote the book. And I hope it helps a lot of people.
No, that's fantastic. I like that you brought up the Fred was going through the, being a grandparent a lot and working hard. I've seen that a lot too. Actually, I had to stop my parents, their grandparents. They like to be with the kids all the time, and I'm like, guys, you guys need to like, oh, let's do something this Saturday. I'm like, no, calm down. You hey, go on a date night. If we somehow end up in the same place, then we can hang out. But just go enjoy yours together. Like you said, you need to spend quality time together.
100%. Right.
And then just like your brain always working. My father, his brain is always constant, 24/7 working, focusing. And my mom has to tell him all the time, "Hey, you need to, like you say, Mrs. Hayes, calm down, shut it off, just be quiet." Yeah.
Take a breath.
So, what were some of the challenges you had writing this book? What did it take long to write out it all? Or I know there's an app coming out here soon with it later on this week. What were
Yeah.
some like challenging things that you had to go through and get this book out ready to go?
A lot of it, which I didn't expect, was probably flow. It's like you think you can just put your words or your thoughts down in words and in writing. You don't, if you never wrote a book before, you don't realize that, hey, there's something that I learned called user interaction and user experience. And that means the reader. So the reader wants to follow a story, a journey.
Yes.
And once I learned that, I had to rearrange my chapters and stuff. And that was probably the biggest challenge, finding the words or the topics, the information to include in the book. That wasn't too difficult. Like I said, I just really went off experience, but then I had to find a starting point and an end point to tell a story. And once I was able to lock that down, it kind of free flowed from there.
That's awesome. And I remember reading part of the book. You are no tip, you don't have a degree in this. You have no like actual education on this. You just have experience, but you do get help
Life
from.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as I say, you say you're the go-to guy, but you also had help I saw in the book from someone else, right? An actual
Yeah.
licensed therapist and counselor, correct?
Yeah. 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 So he is actually her middle son, my
Wow,
stepson, and he is a licensed family therapist. And
fantastic.
what's that?
License. I don't know. Is it marriage and family, family and
Okay,
marriage?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So anyway,
Okay.
he does that at a high
Yeah.
level, many clients, he's super busy, but he has the education, the background, far less experience than I have because he's younger. But what he brought to the effort, I think, is what really helped the book develop and evolve into what it is. Because I had that to lean on, him and I would sit, talk, go over different chapters.
Yeah.
And he added some really, really good content, things I probably wouldn't have considered. But then I took that information and I combined it with some we've had and other people have had. So it worked out pretty good. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely.
No, does he ever try to like like not trying to like so like he's with you guys and he tries to like counsel you guys without realizing you guys are counseling. I've seen that before sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So he always, first of all, right? Because that's just his nature. And I've counseled him quite a bit
Yes.
as well
Really?
because he comes as things from an educational therapeutic perspective. And I think I bring a more realistic perspective, right? Because I tell him all the time, dude, dumb it down. Dumb it down. These big soaring words and all this shit. It's just like you got to stop to think about the words he's saying. So you're really not getting the content. So,
Yeah.
and I think in his posts, he's learned to do that and he's accepted that part from me anyway. And going back to your point about, yeah, I'm not anyone's licensed person or anything like that. However, I have found that through Gary and others, while that is extremely valuable to have these professionals out there to seek their guidance, support, and help, it is also very important to have a real world perspective on things that does not come with information from books or education. Just real life experience cannot be duplicated.
Wow. That's beautiful. What is like so we're going back to you guys real quick about y'all's relationship and everything. So you guys talked about how you guys don't really get into arguments and stuff like that. But if you guys do get in a disagreement, how is your guys' like way of handling it? You know, are you guys taking a second to cool off, or are you trying to fix it right away? If you guys ever go in a disagreement, and also if you understanding them too, you're listening, you're not sitting there, judging them, ignoring them. You're upset because they don't like what you're doing. So stuff like that. Can you go in a little details with that, please?
How do we handle it?
I would say, as you see, like I'm more of the talker and
He's
she's
the
more of the
talker.
listener, right? So she's the calm in the marriage. There's no yelling or anything like that. But, if we disagree, and it goes back to what I was saying about cliches versus scientific, this cliche about never go to bed mad sounds great, but it's really not a real thing.
Yeah.
It'd be nice, but it's BS. Think about if someone's in a heated argument, her and I, right, which doesn't really happen, but if we were, and it was 10:30, 11 at night, and we ready to go to bed, what are you gonna do? You gotta say, okay, we're not going to bed, man. Give me a hug, whatever. It's just when people are heated, they go to their corner, they put their gloves on. If you close your eyes, you go to sleep, and you wake up, you're with your partner. Typically, there's going to be a touch, a hug, a morning, a kiss, or whatever,
Yes.
and the temperature is way down.
But even if I did have an argument, we're still mad at each other. Before we go to bed, I'm still going to tell him I love him.
Right.
We still tell each other, yeah, I
Oh
love
yeah.
you. Yeah, I'm mad at you, but I still love you.
And I say, okay,
No, I don't. I said, love you too.
That's when you hear the "love you too." That's yeah. He's mad. He's still mad at me. That's funny.
that's
Still mad.
and really answer your question a little more directly is just, I think allowing the temperature to come down is the best way to approach repairing a disagreement, and you can't force that, especially when one person has one perspective and the other sees it a different way. I believe in you don't have to agree. We don't have to agree, but I have to understand where she's coming from.
Yes.
And understand, then it's so much easier to move on. But if we disagree and I don't understand, then we still in that wheel of trying to figure out how to get past it. So yeah, I think the simple answer is allow the temperature to come down.
Fantastic. No, thank you for that. I'm gonna go dive into this real quick. So, me, I'm 28 years old, right? I grew up with the ideas of, like you were talking about, the cliches. That's what I saw all the time on TV, movies. The reality shows and rom-coms and stuff like that of the all the cliches we talk about. What is some tips that you can give to people my age, that millennials who are, or just anyone younger, Gen Z, that don't really have an idea what a relationship is because we grew up with so many different avenues on what a relationship is, how to handle this. We have also have social media talking about, hey, this is what you should do in a relationship. Oh, this is what you should actually do for your relationship. What is your tips and your ways of being in a relationship these days and how to make sure that, your mind is just not cluttered with all this stuff, all this material we got. What is your idea of like three tips on the best way you can have a good relationship with your partner?
Stay off of social media.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Honestly, no, I agree with that tip.
Honestly, yeah, no. So social media limited, yes.
Because I see so many couples together. They're out at dinner, but they're like this
Yes.
instead of, you know.
Yeah, limit the screen time. I agree with that
And we
100%.
do try, like, if we go out to dinner or whatever, put our phones down. Now, there are times important phone
Right.
calls come in, and you're gonna
You know,
answer.
we've even left them in the car before, just
That's a good idea,
you know,
actually. Yeah.
keep it from interfering. So I agree with that completely. Is limit the screen time. I would also, probably say that have your individualism as well, right? So there's a chapter in the book, the me in the we, right? Understand the me part of the couple.
Yep.
Not only understand it, but you are an individual, right? Before you met your wife, before your wife met you, you guys were your own people.
Too.
So don't lose that, continue to develop and grow as an individual, but you grow alongside your partner. And I think that's huge to be able to not lose yourself in a relationship because then you start to resent your partner because of what you perceive they taken from you.
Yeah.
So absolutely maintain your individuality for certain. And then the other part, now I think I'm go back to what I said earlier, where understanding is more important than agreeing.
Yes.
I've always loved that statement because I hear so many like they're right, they're wrong, he's right and wrong, whatever. Do you understand why that person believes it? Yes, I understand, but where's the but? Why you have a but? We have different perspectives. Like, that goes back to individuality. So just because you don't agree, that is not the goal. Sometimes it is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you try to take a trip, you got to agree on that. But if there's just something, it could be religion, it could be politics, it could be something about a child or a grandchild. Your views are different, and sometimes you just have to say, okay. I remember telling Rhonda early and I tried to do this most of our marriage or our relationship is that out of 10 things, babe, you get 9, right? And on like if we have difference of a decision point in an opinion, you get 9. Just take it. But when my one comes up, I don't want to talk about it. This is my because I feel like I want to give, I want to make her happy. So go ahead, take them, take them, take them. When my one comes up, though, it took me a conversation and we agreed on it.
Okay.
So, because you're not always going to agree on stuff, that's why I came up with the understanding is more important.
It's the 80/20.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
80/20.
So I told him once about good, like there's good things and bad things from relationship, and you can apply 80/20 rules to so many things. In this
Mm,
regard, if it's 80 good, 20 bad, you cruising. You probably way at the top of
I
happiness
like
and
that.
relationship, right? I think we've been somewhere around 88, 90, 10, 88, 12 for most of our relationship.
Yeah.
I really do. 50-50 is bad.
Yeah.
50-50. It might be time for it to be over because if half your time is spent in a bad space, it's terrible. It's just terrible. So that's where the 80-20 came from. And I used to ask my friend this all the time. I told him this 80-20 thing. I was like, where y'all at? He said 50-50. I'm like, bro, that is not good.
Yeah.
But many conversations. They now live together.
Which was big.
Yeah, which is a big deal. And have I sent him that video?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I have to send you a video. Anyway, and they're now engaged as of July.
That's wonderful. Fantastic.
But this is probably a 4 or 5 year journey of counseling, if you will. I should have charged them. I'd probably be rich. But anyway, it's been a long time. But we went to Maldives in July, and he bent the knee, and it was beautiful.
Wow. That's
It was-
beautiful. That's wonderful.
Prize.
Yeah, it was a
Stop.
big surprise. And in fact, Eagles played the Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan, by the way.
I'm a
And
Cowboy
Yeah.
fan.
Cowboys fan. Got you.
I saw that disgusting picture on Facebook. Other than your kids, you and that crap. you
Hey,
were
we
wearing
won
up.
the game. That's all that counts. It was a rough
Right.
game, but we won it. It was a game I was proud of my boys for once in a while now. So
They did well. But for the first game on the 4th, our friend had surgery, so we all went to his house for that game, and they surprised me and they said, "Come in the room here." And I walk in the room, I have a table set up, my book sitting there, a big banner behind the table. It was a book
A
signing event.
signing event.
that
It was
is
pretty
awesome.
Yeah. So, and then as I was signing it, my friend who proposed says, "I need to know where this book come from and why you wrote it and all this stuff." So afterwards, I explained all this to them, and they were like the culmination, at least, yeah, part of it. Yeah. I mean, and he got engaged. So I was pretty happy with that.
That's beautiful. So the book is not just you. The book is about all the people that kind of helped with it too. It's not just it's one single thing
Right.
or idea.
He
It's
hit
what
that's
everyone's
a
gone
pro-
through.
That's
Yeah.
right. It just talks about different experiences you may have. Some of it is more general. And if you come to this point, then some advice on what you can try. And then there's some practical exercises in there that can be done as well.
Well, we're cutting close to our time, so I just want to say, if do you have any Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channels you want us to shout out to, or anything like that you want to post for the end of the video?
Yeah. Our Facebook page, please relationship, SHIFT, relationships.
Shift.
And then we have a Facebook community group that is called Shift Happens, talking life, love, and lessons. So please join the conversation there, and let's, see if we can help one another out. What's that, baby? Oh yeah, we have the Instagram, TikTok, all of it is under relationship.
Relationship. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time today. This was a wonderful time talking to you, and you have a wonderful day.
Oh, this is good stuff, Dave. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.